Jill, and welcome.
Thank you.
So I just want to jump into it because I have fallen in love with your brand and what you're doing in order to empower females. You are now partnering with the Endo Foundation on a series of line. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we're thrilled to partner with the Endometriosis Foundation of America because the whole premise of Teneral Cellars and the mission is to elevate women and inspire change. And for us, for all women, I mean, women are the cornerstone of societies. Healthy women are the cornerstones of good societies and healthy societies and communities. And so partnering with the Endo Foundation made a lot of sense because as we look at women's health, we're saving mental health for an entirely different release because we need to really focus on that. But when you look at physical health of women, we decided to focus on breast health, heart health, and reproductive health. And as I was doing my own research, because part of the joy for me on this journey of using wine as a conduit for change is I get to take a deep dive and really educate myself, which means then I can educate others and we can be that agent of change to really make the world a better place. And so, one in cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of all women in America. It's 1 in 3 women. That's 1 woman every minute that will die from cardiovascular disease. And 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. And 1 in 3 of those will be metastatic. And as you know very well, 1 in 10 women will be diagnosed with endometriosis. And, as I was looking at the research on your foundation, and there's no, known cause, there's no known cure. And, but then that made me look deeper at, where's the money going for funding with women's health? And women are often misdiagnosed. Their pain isn't taken seriously. And I also, know as a woman of 3 children and a very active woman myself is that I'm often so busy, I don't take care of myself.
Yeah.
And so to be an agent for change, we want people to not only get educated and talk about the necessary topics and conversations, but to also take action. And so, we want to give people actionable items. And that's why working with the foundation, we're going to be sharing lots of content, having a lot of expert panels and discussions so that we not only educate, but then we empower others to make the change that's necessary and to, give you 3 calls to action every week so that we're, fighting the fight, whether it's asking, Congress to put more funding towards certain research, or it's making sure that your 3 best friends go make their appointments with their gynecologist and get their mammograms and really do the things that are necessary. So every quarter we pick these themes. And so our Healthy Women, Healthy World release will donate $10 from every 3-pack sold of this collection to the Endo Foundation. And so we're thrilled to partner with the foundation and really excited about our upcoming release on August 24th.
Right around the corner, which is super, super exciting. And for you, learning about endometriosis really from kind of just totally didn't have really any information or a personal tie to it, at least not that I know of yet. What were you surprised to learn about the disease?
A couple of things. One, I was incredibly shocked to realize how many women it touches and affects, impacts. And as soon as I was looking at that, I actually started to, all of our labels are designed by female artists. And so the woman that designed the breast for our breast health bottle, I was talking to her and I told her that we wanted, we were going to support the Endo Foundation. And she said, my mother suffers from endometriosis. My sister suffers from endometriosis, and I'm so fortunate that I don't. So I think immediately as I started to go out and talk to my own circle of friends and family and colleagues, how many people are touched that I do know, that I didn't know, right? So it's like all of these people have been suffering and suffering in silence, or at least suffering in enough silence that I didn't know. And so so that was shocking to me. The other part of it is just some of the health biases that exist. Yeah. I was reading because, so much of what we do is about diversity, equity, and inclusion in my business, because the wine industry is so white male dominated, and I'm trying to create a company that reflects, every woman in this country. And so to read that there's people in the medical field that still think this is a white woman's disease,
Mhm.
you know, and that it doesn't affect people of color, or, you know, the severity of the symptoms, so that especially when you look at the health inequities and what happens to lower income women, or women that live in underserved communities, how, you know, how much income and opportunity they lose because of the pain and the suffering that comes along with endometriosis. So those were shocking to me. And it's certainly something that more money needs to be, you know, put into research and development and finding a cure for that, but also just education. And so again, it just made so much sense, because while men have breasts and men have hearts, only women have ovaries. And you know, and when you look at reproductive health, it seemed to be a natural fit for us to really focus on supporting the foundation.
Well, and thank you for that. And yeah, I think that's another thing we're working on too, is just the inclusion, discussing period poverty, making sure that we change definitions and are open. So, you know, for the 1 in 10, it's anyone born with a uterus. And those are all things that, like you said, agent of change. So very important topics. And another important topic is you are one of the few females in the winemaking business.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. So last year when COVID hit, it was, you know, it was eye-opening because our world changed. I mean, in California, the governor shut down all of the wineries. We could only do curbside pickup. It was changing the way we communicate with people. And then for me, it was the murder of George Floyd. And I just started to ask myself, as one of the few women in leadership positions in the wine industry, what was I doing to be part of the change? And, you know, my whole life, adult life, you know, I think about where women gather, wine flows. And when wine flows, it's been some of the best and deepest conversations that I've had in my life. And obviously we also often open a bottle of wine in grief, and but mostly celebration and great conversations. And so as I started to take a deeper look, I'm like, there's only 10% female winemakers in the industry. There's 0.1% Black winemakers, and that's men and women. Female sommeliers make 70 cents on the dollar to their male counterparts, yet it's a known fact that there are more female super tasters than men. And yet, while you have women in tasting rooms, you have very few women in leadership positions and even fewer women of color. And 67% of all wine is purchased by women, and yet the industry doesn't reflect its largest customer. So I just felt like, you know, it was time to build a brand that was woman owned and run. We're all digital, so we don't have a tasting room. But I'm up in the El Dorado County wine region in California. I'm an owner in another winery group, so I have access to grapes that I own, and you know, all the winemaking skills. But we have a phenomenal female winemaker. We have a great diverse team, so that we have a diversity of experiences and voices reflected in this company. And you know, it's important too that we are also finding the female viticulturists and farmers. So I want to take people on a journey around the world where we can introduce you to great wines, but that are brought to you by different female farmers. So we'll take you on a journey around the world, even though we're starting with wines in California. But it really is about elevating women and inspiring change. And we donate 10% of all of our profits, which equates to $10 from every 3-pack on these different collections, back to charities that empower women and elevate women and inspire change. And so, yeah, it's a unique model. And we have recipes every quarter that are paired, you know, with the different wines. So Padma has selected 4 wine recipes to pair with our 4 wines that we're releasing. We have the 5th. Well, she was the 5th female master sommelier in the world, Catherine Fallis, who's our somm for the quarter. And then we've got a lot of wonderful experts that will be participating. And so every quarter I try to elevate different women and share different conversations. But I want people, when they get our box, to open it up and open up that conversation and have the tough conversations and the necessary conversations to make change and really rethink what it means to be a wine business and where we spend our money.
What brought you into the winemaking business?
People. I'm a connector. I love to connect with people. And again, it was my experience of when I open a bottle of wine and you share some of the deepest things in your heart and your soul. But for me, it really aligns with me on how I connect with people. And so why not use wine as a conduit for change? But I've always just loved how wine connects people. And now I just want to take it a step further to really use wine as a means for creating that change I want to see in the world.
Well, I'm very excited to try the wines and very excited about the launch and to see the reaction and just for more people to get educated on these women's health issues.
Yeah, well, and I know how important for women suffering with endometriosis that that there's no preservatives in the wine. So all of our wines are sustainably farmed and produced. We don't add any no pesticides, no glyphosate. It's unfortunate, but in our industry, there's no labels on the back of wine. And so there's a lot of wineries that add concentrate, add sugar, add things that you just don't know what they're putting in their wine. And especially when you look at some of the lower cost wines, those are mass produced. So you don't know what's in those. So we want everyone to know that you're getting the purest form of the grapes. We love the bugs and weeds. That's the natural fertilizer. But it's important, especially when people are thinking about their health. They should know what's in the wine that they're drinking.
Well, thank you for joining us today and letting us know more about your brand and what you're doing to move change forward.
I appreciate it. And if people, go to teneralcellars.com, they'll see all of the, once we launch on the 24th, all of the great discussions and roundtables with doctors and experts and, wine experts as well and food experts. But we really do want to educate and inspire change. And we're thrilled to have the opportunity today. I'm thrilled to be able to share our story and more about the Endometriosis Foundation with our community.
Thank you.